I'd say try not to feel like what you were saying. Don't feel like you're stuck, because you're not. Take a big step back and realize that this isn't the end of the world. It will all work itself out. Like, look at your other options. There's no problem in doing that, and don't be in a rush either to make the decision.
Friend, here's something I don't know if you know. While the podcast was a thought of mine for a long time, Thinking of Me absolutely could not be doing this without our very own Wizard of Oz, Kyle, at Goodknight Podcasting Solutions. Kyle's turnaround time, dedication and level of service means that I never have to second guess or worry about the level of support in getting our messaging out to you. If you're curious as to starting your own podcast, or just want to see how it might spread your message, reach out to Kyle at kylegoodnight.com or check our show notes. I mean it when I say that we couldn't be doing this without him. Hello, and welcome to today's episode where we have Emma Rudden with us. Emma, I'm delighted we're getting to do this. Emma is a drama friend of mine with Sandyford Little Theatre, and we just finished a run together for our first time in a show at Playboy the Western World just there last November. And Emma is someone who, as I say, is very creative. I know she also has a musical flair to her that I've yet to see, but I know is there. And is someone who's had a college journey behind her at this point already as well, of changes and so on. So I'm excited to hear a little bit more of Emma's story and have that shared. But Emma, if you want to introduce yourself and say hi, or anything that you'd like any of our friends listening to know about yourself.
Cool, thanks for having me, Lauren. So I met Lauren through Sandyford Little Theatre, and as Lauren said, I have a bit of a college journey behind me. So I started off straight after the Leaving Cert, I went into music education, and I stayed there for a year and decided after the year, but after lots of thought, that it wasn't for me and that I needed to go back to the drawing board and figure out what was next. And then, the short story is that I ended up changing into psychology in a different college, and I'm still there now, so it's working out so far.
In Emma.
Yeah, I'm in second year now, but it's only a 3-year course, so halfway there.
So that's what I like to hear.
Yeah.
Emma, I suppose for anyone listening, what was it that brought you to music education in the first place, and what were you expecting that didn't really kind of happen, that I suppose led you to decide it wasn't for you?
So, doing the Leaving Cert, I always had music. I had violin. That was my thing, like all the way through school, all the way through primary school as well. Like that was my one thing that I stuck to, my one hobby that never left. So I had that base, and my mum was really good at looking through courses with me, and she found the music education course in Trinity, and I saw there was an audition as part of like getting accepted into the course, and I was like, immediately, no, I'm not doing that. And my mum was like, sure, you might as well give it a go, because I read through like the course description, and I was like, actually, that does sound like something that I would really enjoy. And also, like, getting the teaching degree as part of it was like amazing, like for jobs in the future and stuff like that. So I went for it, and the audition went well, and got the conditional offer. And then you never know how many points you need with music education, because they just completely change every year, depending on the people who are applying and who have gotten through the audition. But yeah, so that went well. Then the Leaving Cert went quite well, and I had it as my first choice, because I thought, I've done the audition, so like, of course it would be my first choice. Of course that's what I want to do. I'm already halfway there. And got in, and then it wasn't an immediate realization. Like, I didn't go into the course in my first week and be like, no, not for me. Like, I was having a really good time, actually, which was kind of what made it more confusing when I decided that it wasn't for me, because I was like, well, I've made all these great friends, I thought I was having a good time, so why has something changed now? But I think it's like there was a build-up of things, like teachers who I was seeing like a side maybe of the classical music world that I hadn't seen before, and I was like, actually, I'm not a fan of this. This is quite toxic. And I think also picturing myself as a teacher, like I was thinking way too far ahead, to be fair, but I couldn't picture myself being a teacher for the rest of my life. I was like, there's definitely more that I could do than just this degree. And also, like, people ask me all the time, like, why did you leave? Or like, they just want like a really like compact answer. But I don't think you need a reason. Like, if something feels wrong and you know that it feels wrong, you don't need to be able to explain to anyone else. Like, once you know and you can get yourself comfortable with the idea that it's not right, then I think that's enough. Like, you don't need to be able to have this big, grand story of, oh my god, like I had a big falling out with this person or whatever it is. Like, you don't need that. You can know
100%.
yourself. Yeah.
That's exactly
So
it.
that
And I have, like, I know we chatted before, Emma, and in case anyone's listening and doesn't know some of my story, like, I was the exact same. Not music education, but it was drama, theatre and performance. And I left that degree, but I had gotten into Trinity, and I'll kind of tell that in a second. But what you said there of when you're explaining to somebody else, like, I was loving the course, but it was kind of all the outside things, and that wasn't really kind of adding up, and couldn't really get my own head around why I was wanting to leave and what was happening. And that took me like the guts of my 20s to figure out then afterwards, because it was still something that would come up.
Still the same.
Yeah, and people would still ask, well, why did you leave? And you can't force that answer. You can't force that answer for yourself, and you definitely can't force it for someone else. But my granny, and with all the love, needed to force that answer for everybody else for me, and I remember leaving first and being outside mass, and neighbours asking, like, how was I getting on in Galway at the time, and I went up my mouth to be like, oh, I'm actually like gone from, and my granny just like slid straight in and was like, yeah, she's loving it, that kind of thing. There's like that Irish shame, that Irish guilt of, God, don't tell the neighbours.
It's crazy. You don't expect it, and then it happens and you're like, whoa.
Yeah, I suppose, let's stick with that for a second. What was your support reaction, I suppose, at home, or with friends even?
At
what was it like after you made the decision?
After the decision, I was in bits, because I I had made like two of my best friends in college, and it was like, that was quite a big deal for me as well, because in school I hadn't had that experience. Like, in school I was very much so happy with how I was doing academically, but I was never happy with my friendships. And then I went into college and I was like, oh my god, I have these two really good friends now, but I'm not happy with what I'm doing academically. So it was like, I can't get the balance right. But at home, the support was very good. Like, especially from my mum, like, she just wanted me to do whatever was going to make me happy, because she saw, like, I suppose, how much I struggled maybe in music education. Just, I like, not even, I'd say mentally, I suppose, but it wasn't like, there wasn't any big like thing that happened. It was just that I was probably not myself. And my little sister actually tells me that. She's like, I don't know who you were that year. She's like, I never saw you. You were just always in your room doing homework. And so yeah, my mum just wanted me to find something that was going to make me happy again. And my friends understood. Like, I had to, again, like, for them, because they were in the course still and they weren't going to leave, it was hard to explain like why I had to leave and like why it was the right decision for me, knowing that they were continuing on with this course that I was saying, yeah, I'm not doing this anymore. So that was more difficult to explain to them, but because there was such a build up at home of like seeing what was going on and how much I struggled with the practical side with violin and my teacher, I think it was easier for them to just be like, okay, she needs to, that needs to be parked for now, and find something else to focus on. But this, it was very good.
finding the focus. Did you, at the
Yeah,
time, did you know that you wanted to move straight into psychology, or what did you
I
focus
think
on once you said, no, I am going? How did you get that kind of,
um,
that
just a
kind of
lot of
drive
different.
back, I suppose, for yourself?
Yeah, I think I suppose thinking back to what I enjoyed in school, I know it's not always helpful, but like I knew that I knew that I was good at writing, and I knew that I also liked a bit of science, and psychology kind of brings those together. Um, and it was something that I had always been interested in. Like I'd always watch those like Secret Life of a 5-Year-Old or like things like that. So
Love that.
and knowing that I'd be interested and I would be learning something completely new, because in music education or any music course really, like you're building on like years and years of previous knowledge, and we were all kind of starting at different points, and I definitely felt behind. I felt like everyone had achieved so much already, and then I was just playing this game of catch up, which in reality like wasn't true. But that was more of a building of knowledge, and I kind of just wanted to learn something completely new.
Yeah.
And I knew that I'd be able to do that with psychology, just a complete fresh start, like that everyone would be going into this blind.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
love that. And I that's funny because now I'm thinking I had the opposite. It was like going to study drama.
Mhm.
That was my new thing, and I had
Yeah.
that first. And then after I made the change and I said, no, I'm going back and doing teaching, which was originally what I always thought I wanted to do. So my story was I only ever wanted to be a teacher, but the only thing I ever liked was drama. So at the
Mm-hmm.
time in Leaving Cert year, like I was in a play, a musical, and I directed a one act. Um,
Oh my god.
and a variety show there before Christmas as well, like with a different group. So that was like 4 productions in Leaving Cert year. And I'm not saying to
Yeah.
anyone, that that's right or wrong, but for me, that like I always need a balance of drive. So for school, for me, you say there with the academics and the relationships kind of being out of balance, I just loved being in school. And the fact
Yeah.
that I did well in school was a bonus. The fact that
Yeah.
once I was in the class and I understood it, I was like, yeah, I have it. And then you do the homework and study. And I really had it then, but it was more so the whole experience. Like I loved everything about like student council and all things, just school. I loved my school. So I really felt the shift leaving school, number one, but also
Mm-hmm.
then I think I had like that existential thing of I always wanted to be a teacher, and here I am studying drama. What am I doing with my life? And where, like, again, as you said, like I was thinking too far down the line, what's it going to lead to?
Yeah.
And I was really enjoying learning something brand new. Like I'll never forget. There's this one lecturer, and I won't name names or anything, but they're in NUI Galway, and he was so eccentric and great. And he had like this massive thing against what's her face in Mamma Mia, the mother. What's her name? Oh my god.
Meryl Streep.
Meryl
Sorry.
Streep. Meryl Streep. God, I couldn't think of Meryl Streep. He had this massive thing against Meryl Streep, and like every lecture, he'd somehow managed to bring her into it. No offense to Meryl Streep or anything out there, but it was so different, and I think I wasn't okay with that. And also I
Yeah.
now didn't have some of the supports that you have in school, like knowing what teacher you can go and have a chat with, because you can't just chat to your lecturers.
Mm-hmm.
Some will, obviously,
Yeah.
and that, but yeah, it was kind of all the newness, I think, that kind of threw me. But yeah, it's interesting to
Yeah.
see it like in
Definitely.
the reverse.
I know.
How did
Yeah.
you kind of segue from one college then to the next? What was that like as an environment and
It
as a
was.
friendships kind of thing after making those friends in Trinity?
Yeah. That was probably the biggest problem that I had initially. Actually, like for the first half of first year, I was like, wow, this maybe I haven't made the right decision, because music education is a tiny course. There was like 9 people in our course, and so like you had to get along with someone,
Yeah.
or you were doomed. So I was so lucky that I got along with those 2 girls so well. Um, but then obviously like going into UCD, like massive courses, especially psychology, like it was over 100. I think it's 115, something like that. And I was lucky that I did actually know one girl going in, like we had a mutual friend. So the first day I was able to kind of go in with someone, just knowing of them and like having like a little bit of a support, like not going completely on my own. But like we haven't stayed friends. Like you don't have to, keep that one person that you just happen to know and we have to stick together. Like it wasn't anything like that. It was just nice to have someone to go in with into this big massive lecture hall.
Absolutely.
Because I'd never experienced that even in my first year of college in Trinity. Like we were in a tiny classroom most of the time. But I definitely struggled then, finding like my people or even person, because immediately it was very cliquey. You saw groups forming all around you, and I was like, oh my god, like this is secondary school all over again. Like everyone's finding their people so quickly and going out. And I just, because I had the first year experience already, I was like, I'm not really into the freshers thing or like going wild and whatever. But I was lucky then in January of last year, I found a really good friend. Just by chance, we happened to sit beside each other in a lecture, and we bonded over our hatred of small talk. Like we were like looking around at all these people, and we were like, "Why? It's January, and we're still having the same conversations about where are we going out tonight?" And like we both kind of got that in each other, and that's been something that we like to have a proper conversation. So I think for anyone who does go into a big massive college course, you will it might take half a year, but like you'll find your people. Like it might just happen by complete chance. You might just sit beside them in a lecture hall and bond over your hatred of small talk.
100%. I love that, because it was the same again in reverse. I went from the large lecture theatre like spaces to the classrooms, going from one to the other. But that's exactly it. You just end up bumping into someone, and what I always kind of did. One thing I always did, and I think this is really helpful for anybody, is remembering why you're there. Like I know there's a lot of anxiety. Like it is very nerve-wracking walking in anywhere new for the first time, especially if you've made a change, or even if it's like your first time going into a space like that, especially like country school, anything like that, no matter where, like what your school background was like, heading into any kind of a new room. I was just always focused on, well, why am I here? I'm here to learn this lecture, and I just kind of like blinkers, and it is scary when you see those groups forming, because I was 17 when I started in Galway, and again, those conversations of going to student union bar or where everyone was going out, and I was like, I'm still not 18 yet. Like I wasn't going to be 18 till the October. So I actually missed some of the groups forming. But as I say, the course itself was good, and I think if I was happier, like genuinely, I think if I had opened my mouth and got some support, I think a little bit louder, at the time, especially early on in the year, and by the time I made my decision, kind of now, as this is out end of January, that I wasn't going back in. I hadn't even sat one of the exams at Christmas. I never told home that. Actually, I don't know if I've ever actually said that out loud. I never did the Irish exam, guys. let this be the first that it's out there. I never sat that exam, because it was arts I was doing on the side of the drama, and I kind of thought I was in too deep. But I think if I had said something, I would have like pulled back. Well, all these things happen in the right way. Like I'm not, there's no regret there. But
exactly.
I think that could be really helpful for anyone. What would you say, Emma, to anyone who is listening that is kind of at that point of, I don't know what I should do now, if they're in a course and they don't like it?
I'd say try not to feel like what you were saying. Don't feel like you're stuck, because you're not. Like take a big step back and realize that this isn't the end of the world. Like, it will all work itself out. Like, look at your other options. There's no problem in doing that. Like, and don't be in a rush either to make the decision. Like, I was like you, by January or by December, even like Christmas, I remember having a big meltdown to my dad, and that's when I know it's bad, because um,
Love it.
I was like, oh, this is real.
Yeah.
I'm really
I
not
know
happy.
that feeling.
And I could have made the decision then, but I hadn't tried the teaching side of the course, and I'm really glad that I stayed and I tried the teaching part, because that is what I really enjoyed in the course, and it's something that I've kept doing since leaving. Like, you can take bits with you. Like, you're not leaving it all behind. Like, it's not a complete, parting. Like, if whatever it is that you're doing, like, you can always come back to it. Like, now might just be the wrong time, and you know best. Don't feel stuck, and talk so much.
Yeah,
to
for
the people around you.
Whoever will listen, like, find someone and like talk at them until it all comes out.
Exactly.
And then if they can't help you, great, you've said it. Go talk to someone then who can help you. Yeah.
Exactly. And you can make sense for yourself once you say it out loud, I think. And it becomes more real then. You're like, okay, yeah, this is something that I need to change, or maybe it's not. Maybe it's not as big as you've made it up in your head. And once you've said it out loud, then you realise that. So yeah, I think.
So what did you do after you talked to your dad?
I had to decide. Yeah, I knew I didn't want to leave at that point, but I knew something was wrong as well. And I think at that point it was one situation that was kind of pushing me down and making me feel quite bad. It was my violin teacher. I had a really bad relationship with her. Just like a very bad power imbalance. I don't know, something was going on there. And that was my one thing that was really upsetting me. I was like, violin has been my thing that's like kept me going through school and everything. Like, it's a big defining feature of me. So why now is it something that she's like, it felt like she was trying to like take that away from me or discredit me, like that I wasn't good enough or whatever it was. So I knew like I couldn't let that one thing, that one person, like make my decision for me. Her being horrible to me wasn't a reason for me to leave at that point. But as it continued, and as I continued with the course and other things, like just the whole nature of maybe like music conservatories, I was realizing that it didn't really suit my personality, and it wasn't something that I could see myself doing for another 3 years and being miserable for another 3 years. So then that's when I started talking again, probably March or April, to my mum and being like, okay, I need to stick I need to sort out my CAO again and do all those things that come with it. You forget that you have to actually do something about it.
Yeah, and there's a huge trauma block to it. Like, it's like, I'm not doing that again. There's a huge blockage. I remember like that after I made the decision, and then I like reapplied straight away for like home ec teaching, because as I say, it went from, okay, the creative isn't working, so let's just do the sensible thing, So I was like, yeah, let's just be lying straight for that. I didn't even open up my possibilities again, but I just went with this one option. Like, I put the two down. I put home ec and religion down first, RE, religious education, and I put down home ec and Irish second. And I don't even know still to this day why I even put it down as the second option when I didn't enjoy it in the arts in Galway in the first place. It's just that thing of like,
I need
you get stuck. Like, I got stuck in that options mode. So, I hear you when you're getting all that together again, and it's just, I don't want to think about this. I've done this. It's stressed me out in the past. So there it is. It's done and it's dusted, So.
Yeah, exactly.
I wonder, Emma, so you went through that whole process of going for the audition, and you said that it was nearly something that put you off. I was the same. So I shared there, it was drama theatre performance I was studying in NUI Galway. That's the course I got offered. But I had forgotten I'd even put it down on my CAO. That's the truth.
Okay.
It was my sixth option. And I remember getting the points in August that time, 2013, all that long ago. Got the points, and as soon as I saw my points that day, I was like, oh, okay, I'm not getting Trinity, because what I had applied for and gotten accepted for, like that conditional offer, was straight drama studies in Trinity. So I had done the thing of going up and doing the audition, and I had a portfolio and all that with me. And I remember even like printing off in Dublin City Library, the one there in by the ILAC Centre, because like last minute Lauren, I was like, no, it's still not perfect. It's still not perfect. And I was like printing off one last thing to put in the portfolio to bring in. And I remember when I wrote the application to apply to audition, and when that got in, I asked my English teacher to look at it at the time. When that got in and they invited me for the audition, I remember like sitting on the train and being like, no matter what happens, if I get this course, I'm doing this course, you know. And I was so driven that this is what was going to happen. And then, as I say, points didn't add up. So I was like, okay, that's not happening. And in my mind, I was getting settled and ready for the idea that I was going to Maynooth, because I just knew I had put down home ec teaching. I knew if I probably wasn't going to get the points for that if I hadn't gotten the points for Trinity. And then the next I had was Maynooth for arts, and my best friend was going to Maynooth. So I was like, okay, that'll be fine. I'll like live with Lana. Life will be good. You know, this is like, I was getting this little bubble. And then the offers came out, and it had NUI Galway Drama Theatre Performance. And I was like, oh yeah, I put that down. Because I had forgotten somewhere in the click before the change of mind, you know, in the 1st of July. Or before the change of mind, I had said, no, so look, if I'm going to pursue the drama and I don't get Trinity, I might as well try pursue the drama somewhere else. So I put it down, but I put it down with arts. And that was a bit of a security decision, I think, because I was only putting it down with arts because I had in the back of my head, oh yeah, sure, I can go and teach later. And I hadn't done that in Trinity. It was just straight drama studies. So without all the ins and outs, I do think that if I had gotten then in the second round, when the offers came back and I got Trinity, and if I had said and followed my gut of, I had promised myself if I got this, I'd have gone with it, I might have stuck with it. I do actually really think that, because I was really enjoying all the drama lectures. It just was the arts that was kind of starting to stress me out and starting to make me question my future. Because it was like, oh, I always wanted to be an Irish teacher. I don't like the Irish. What's this about? It's like, history is really fun. When did that happen? You know, like that was starting to be the thing, rather than what I actually really wanted in the first place of going to study it. Because it was in the second round I got the offer, even though there was a 50-point gap, and I didn't take it. In that whole story, I suppose when you say there with the violin and the violin teacher, and for me it was the drama, and that was going well. There was no issue with that. It was more so the passion I had for the subject, like the Irish, and kind of realising this isn't how it was in school or whichever.
It's that realisation. And it's also quite tricky, I think, when you decide on something that like a creative pursuit, or not even just something that's a hobby for you in the first place, and then deciding to do that in a more serious way. Like, you're going to be confronted with so many differences and things that you've never had to think about before, and it completely changes that thing for you. Like from like with violin, like I've had to go back to the drawing board and realize why I enjoy it now and what I want to do going forward to make sure I continue to enjoy it. Because I had like a whole year.
Sorry to cut across you, but did you take a break from violin after that, or how did that affect your relationship with the violin?
I didn't want to go near it, to be honest, for a while, and I didn't until until I started teaching again. I was like,
violin.
No, that's not for me. Yeah. I needed a big break from it, and that's okay too. To get you back to where you need to be. But yeah, I think it's really hard, like to decide on something that you've always been passionate about, or something that's like a safe space for you, and then try and turn it into a career or whatever it is, like studying it, like it can take away the enjoyment, and that's a scary thing as well to realize that can happen, because I don't think anyone really anticipates it when they decide on that, and then it's a big oh no.
I make no secret of the fact that my life changed completely when I reached out to Achievable Fitness 365. Jay is someone who not only gets the fitness side of things, he gets the human side of things. And in having someone who's walked the walk and talks the same thoughts has made me comfortable from the very get-go. Actually, that's a complete lie. I fell in the door and was sick on my first day, but kind of after that, I got comfortable somewhere along the line. Jay knows people, he knows the industry, and he's someone who will know you better than you know yourself. The accountability that he holds, the standard that he sets for you and not for anyone else, is what brought me back into me originally, more than 4 years ago. If you're ready to begin your fitness journey and don't know where to reach out, try Jay. And as I say, my life has never been the same since. I think it's because you mentioned there earlier in going back to things that you liked in school and deciding, the psychology and that it's something new and it's something interesting. I know I've spoken with last autumn and that so many people who kind of had that exact same experience, and that's where we were able to kind of figure out what was right or was wrong with what their next step was going to be as such for them, not for anybody else, for them. And for anyone listening, I can hear you because I can hear myself banging my head against the wall, and maybe you are too, in going, I don't know what I like, and I didn't like anything in school, but or that thing of, well, I liked Irish in school and now I hate it. Like, I feel that so strongly. and Emma, I'd say you can maybe say the same of, as you say, even with the violet and all these things that you think that might, add up and aren't. I really think it's back to kind of, as we said, that thing of just giving yourself a minute and going, okay, this isn't actually working out, and I actually just need to step away and for a minute, like literally just take a deep breath for a minute and not try and force the answer. Because as I say, for me, it was with the drama, and I had gone from that was the only hobby, the only thing that I liked, because I wasn't sporty. I share this so openly all the time. Like, I'm from the back arse of nowhere. I love I love home, and the townlands are like hurling, all that kind of thing, and I never was. So it was my only thing. Now to not have that, and two, know how to enjoy it nearly anymore. It's a thing of you do start to question yourself. And if you stay there, it can get kind of dark. Did you have a replacement or anything, Emma, or what started to kind of keep you going? You said your sister noticed the change in you, your mom was supportive for you. After you had that chat with your dad, how did you kind of build back, I suppose?
I think it took me a while, to be honest. I don't think it's something that I've started to take care of until like quite recently. My first year of psychology, it was just a blur. It was like, okay, get through this because you need to get through the next 3 years. And I didn't really have anything that was like holding me up, or like I didn't have a hobby that was like replacing like violin for me, or keeping me sane in college. But now, because I've realized how important it is because I didn't have it for so long, I think well, for me, I'm trying to again, going back to things that, well, more so that I enjoyed as a kid. Like, I was such a doodler, and I loved art, and that was another thing that I kind of had that same realization on in secondary school, because I did art for junior cert, and I was like, why is this all of a sudden a stressful thing that I don't like? So coming back to art and doing it as like an enjoyable thing and something that can, bring a little bit of joy or like peace to your day, is really nice. And I wish I had done it sooner when I needed that replacement from violin last year. But yeah, I think it's important to realize you need these happy things that you can do every day or every second day. Um,
I feel you on the
that
blur
keep
though. I feel you on the blur of first year going back, because
yeah.
I did that too. And my best college friend, she'd tell you, we lived together in first year, and she came into the room like literally day one or day two after we'd moved in. She's like, "Oh, like when are we going out?" or something along them lines. She'll tell the story better because it's from her perspective. But I was like, "Oh yeah, somewhere like maybe around Halloween," and like her jaw dropped because I had that thing of after doing the year. I had no kind of blowout in first year in Galway because I wasn't 18. I kind of missed all the pressures and all that kind of thing, and then now it was okay, now this is serious, like you're after like dropping out of a course, you have to like get this right, it's like that kind of
Exactly.
what's the word, blinkers like that, that's big focus. Exactly. So and then as you kind of settle into the change, you can kind of see what keeps you boosted, and as it like that, the hobbies.
Yeah, definitely.
What do you hope now, Emma? What do you see now? Like, what with the psychology or everything you know now about the idea that teaching maybe it wouldn't be something that you do forever for the rest of your life? What do you kind of see as your future right now, or how far can you see?
Right now, it's funny because even though I was so scared of teaching initially, it was because I was thinking so far ahead. Now I think that I could really enjoy enjoy teaching, and I can see that for like the next few years, like just the ones right ahead of me now, like the next 5 years, I can see myself continuing to teach and really enjoying it. Further ahead, I think if I stick with psychology, because again, like there's no limits, which is something I've learned. Like just because you're studying something doesn't mean that that's exactly what you have to do, and you don't have to, you blinker down on that one thing. I would love though to look more into like therapy and stuff like that, because I love talking to people, and you have to think about what you like and then apply it, I suppose, to the skill that you're owning in on. I don't know. Maybe therapy, maybe teaching, or maybe something more creative, like I've again with the doodling. But I'm kind of hesitant with that because of what I've said about making a hobby a career. It's a scary thing to do, but maybe like graphic design or something. So I have so many ideas.
And that's great. That's a great stage to be at, like where, and I love that, because that means there's possibilities, and that means that whatever like they all connect as, or whatever they kind of join the dots together to look like, that jigsaw puzzle, they're your pieces. You've put them in there, and you're following the ones that fit right now, and the ones that don't. Like I felt like square peg round hole, like during college, because I had all these creative ideas. I only ever wanted to teach. I loved teaching practice. Like when we go out in school placement, it was because we go out for 4 weeks every year, and then it was 10 weeks or something in the final year. That's what I lived for, like, because it was the thing of a little bit like I already know this, like some of the lectures, and that's not being cocky, but it was the kind of thing of like, we've done food science for 4 years now, I get it, and I've just done all my leaving cert art. It's like there's only so much that I can see the chemistry of like how to make a carbohydrate, glucose, all that kind of thing. And it's just that side of it wasn't interesting for me anymore. It was let me get with the people, and I always was and still am like a people person. So I know no matter what it is I do, and I know I've known this for a long time, it has to have a human in some way on the other end. Like even the computer stuff that I don't like doing, it's this is going to a human. So I push through it, you know. So I think it's in finding, as you say, a skill that works for you. And maybe if anyone listening, it's the exact opposite. You don't want to be anything near humans. I better not. I bring her into nearly every episode I chat about, but a family member of mine, I won't out exactly who, does not like humans. And I could never understand why something like beauty or that was a passion for her wasn't something she wanted to go down as a career. And it was that thing of the skill was there, but didn't want that interaction. She wanted to keep that for herself. You know, she wanted to keep that kind of thing just for her and wanted to avoid other people. So she works kind of with robots and that kind of thing now. So and doesn't have as much of a human interaction. So, and same for some of our other science friends that I have been on here and are yet to come on and all that kind of thing. And for anyone listening who maybe has that maths mind where you're quite happy to be left alone to problem solve on your own. And then I think us, the creatives, we need something. We need like, I think we need that kind of a pull. So it's an interesting one to think about for definite. And I'd love
for sure.
maybe us to mastermind that together. Of what is it that's kind of brings and pulls and pushes that hobby and that job or that work. I'd love to kind of go down that road further again if you'd be up for it.
Sure.
I'm wondering, Emma, at this stage now, kind of knowing that you can't, like, everything you're doing is the right pieces and you're moving forward in the right direction, what would you say keeps you like accountable to you now and not to anybody else? Like, not that thing of I'm worried about what someone might say if I change my mind, or knowing that like you made such a big decision like that to change your course, all that kind of thing. Like, what is it that I suppose keeps you centered?
Keeps me centered. God, this is a big one. I suppose knowing that I've done it before, like knowing that I've made decisions for myself before, and I know that I can do that again now. Even like over the summer, no one could make a decision of what they wanted to do over the summer, and I was like, well, I'm going to go to Spain on my own and live with a family, be an au pair. So I know that I will ultimately just, you know, if the decision needs to be made, I'll make it for myself, and I've done it before, so I can do it again. That's what I think, would be the thing that keeps me grounded in my decision making, knowing that it's been done before. It's not impossible to do it again. It might be hard, but it gets easier to make, decisions for yourself. And
No,
so.
for definite. I love that because it's so true. Whenever I get scared of hitting a bit of a wall or getting a little bit stuck, it's like, no, I've done this. I've figured this out. I know I can do it because I have done it. Like it. So once you've done it once, it's so much easier. Tell us about the au pair. What that was like, and heading off on your own. Was that your first time to travel on your own, or?
Yeah, exactly. My first time, and like it was a great first experience to have, being alone in a foreign country, because I still had a family over there because they really took me in and they were so good to me, and I was doing something as well that I was familiar with. I was taking care of kids, which is, like teaching. I was bringing things that I had learned in teaching and applying them to my everyday with the two girls I was looking after. They were twins. They were 10, which was a really nice age as well, to get to work with. But I didn't have to work with them. I just got to live with them and be their big sister for 6 weeks. So it was lovely. Like, I would highly recommend, especially if you've never lived away from home, or if like my mum is always worried about me, like when I mention like solo traveling or anything like that. She's like, would you not au pair again? Because you're going to a family, and you have like you still have a support over there, even though you don't know these people at all. I got off the plane, I mean, I had I had to fly to Stansted and then fly to Zaragoza where I was going because there was no direct flight from Dublin. And I remember being in Stansted being like, what am I doing? Like, these could be complete nutters. I don't know who I'm going to. Like, I've talked to them over the phone twice. I was like, I could just go back now. And I actually had that thought. I was like, I'm only in Stansted. I could actually go home now. But whatever it was in me, I kept going and got off the plane and I got in the car and they weren't crazy people. They were lovely. But I suppose, yeah, it's an important thing to know that you can do something completely alone. Like that you can get yourself out of the country on your own and like you're able to do that. Like that's really cool. That you have the freedom to be able to take yourself up and go somewhere. I think that's really cool.
Definitely. I love that. I actually didn't know that with Stansted. That's so funny. I had a bit of the same when I decided, so I had done a good bit of travel and all that kind of thing, and then I was in a relationship through college and that, so kind of everything I was doing was kind of, we were doing it together. Or the one time I did kind of fly on my own in that relationship, I'd flown on my own before that, but I was meeting a friend on the other side, that kind of thing. So I remember when I decided I was going to Greece, and this was in my final year of college when I had deferred. So again, January blues, guys, are very real. So sometimes it's just a build up of things that haven't been working, and that's a whole conversation. So for anyone listening that's in January blues, you know, again, find someone, just talk it all out, and then if they can't solve your problem, go find the person that can solve it. But the deferred course at that point, I had deferred the end of my final year and I didn't know what I was doing, and it was the kind of thing of, okay, well, there's nothing keeping me here, I'm going traveling. And I found a company that advertised that you'd have your bed, you'd have a rep, they'd get you a job, and it was 1 month, and I was like, okay, let's do that. So, and I've always wanted to see the blue waters, so I just said, that sounds safe, you know, because at least I'll have someone on the other side that like half look after me. Now, again, that's a whole other story. And for anyone listening, please come back again. I won't go all into all the Zante stuff, but I had that moment. I had that moment in Dublin Airport, and my grandparents, you know, had dropped me off, that kind of thing. And I was just standing in Dublin Airport for the 100 millionth time, you know, and with my carry-on suitcase, and I had just checked in my bag, and it was that thing of, I am on my own. Like, I'll never forget that feeling. Like, I am on my own right now. And again, it was that thing of, I could just ring them and get them to come back and collect me. But when you follow through with it, it's so empowering to know, you know. So
yeah, definitely. Again, like knowing that you've done it once, like you can do it again.
Emma, I think this has been so great for anyone listening. As I say, our friends, if you had a question you could have asked someone when you were unsure of what to do, what would be a question that would have maybe changed your perspective or would have helped you a little bit sooner to kind of decide what was or wasn't right for you?
God, a question. I asked so many questions, I think, at that time. So it's hard to think of one that would have really helped. I suppose it would probably be, I don't know, a question to my future self. Just wanting to know that, you know, everything will be fine. And one decision won't like define the rest of your life. Like it's nothing is as big as it seems. I think I didn't really need to ask a question. I just needed someone to tell me that nothing is as big of a deal as it seems. And that's something that I try and like remember every day now. Like when, you know, something small goes wrong, like, no, this isn't gonna ruin your day. Like and it's the same with like those big decisions, or when you're feeling stuck, like this one thing does not have to define the rest of your year, the rest of your anything. And yeah, I don't know, a question. It's hard to think of a question I would have asked, but I think I just more so needed someone to tell me that, like, it's not a big deal. It's actually not. It's all going to be absolutely fine.
Absolutely love that. tell us before we go, what's on 2025 cards? What's this year hold for you?
Oh God, a lot of uncertainty again. Well, I have a wedding. My brother's getting married, so that's kind of like the big thing of the year.
That's exciting.
Yeah, that's exciting. Travel wise, I don't know. I think I'm thinking about au pairing again because I'm like, I like being able to, yeah, be able to say I'm going to do this on my own. No one else has to come with me. Like, come along if you want, but but I'll be there.
Yeah.
And I don't know. We're talking about Japan. Me and my mum. That's something that I'd like to happen in 2025. Get to Japan. That'd be cool. And I don't know. Going to my last year of college. Like there's nothing big lined up. But I think just see what happens, and that's the most exciting part of a new year. Like you don't know what's gonna happen by the end of it. Yeah.
I love that because it's like, when you know, as we said, you've got the right pieces together, you don't know how they fit yet, but you know that it all lines up for you, then that uncertainty is just fun. Then it's just something that we can be excited about and see what happens, because we know we can fix it if there's something that goes wrong, and we know that we can do it, and we also know that whatever is here and whatever is coming is for me and that. So I love that, and I hope 2025 is great. And
thank you.
We'll do this too. We'll catch up.
Yes.
Maybe see some of those problem solving of that career versus passion. That could be fun.
Yeah,
I really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
We'll see you soon.
Yes, thank you for having me. That was so much fun.
Thanks, friend, for listening to the Thinking of Me podcast. I hope you found something within our story today that lands for you. You can keep up with us on Thinking of Me blog, Thinking of Me coaching, and Lauren Jean on socials. Go to thinkingofmecoaching.com/checklist for your checklist for self-fulfillment. Until our next chat, talk soon, my friend.